Good afternoon. The year is coming to an end. Things will be changing. The pandemic is ending. We don't get to do nothing as much anymore. Which is why I'll be reading just a little bit of The House at Pooh Corner. Because it's in this book that Christopher Robin starts to grow up. And he realizes he has to spend time doing fractions and subtractions, and he can't do nothing as much anymore. And it's a big change. And some of you will be changing first grade next year, second grade next year. Things get a little bit more difficult. But they don't have to. This is one of my favorite little books. It's actually a first edition from 1928. The House at Pooh Corner by A.A. Milne. An introduction is to introduce people, but Christopher Robin and his friends, who have already been introduced to you, are now going to say goodbye. So this is the opposite. When we asked Pooh what was the opposite of an introduction, he said, "The what of a what?" Which didn't help us as much as we had hoped. But luckily, Owl kept his head and told us that the opposite of an introduction, my dear Pooh, was a contradiction. And as he is very good at long words, I'm sure that that's just what it is. Chapter 10, in which Christopher Robin and Pooh come to an enchanted place and we leave them there. Christopher Robin was going away. Nobody knew why he was going. Nobody knew where he was going. Indeed, nobody even knew why he knew that Christopher Robin was going. But somehow or other, everybody in the forest felt that it was happening at last. Even the smallest of all, a friend and relation of Rabbit's, who thought he had once seen Christopher Robin's foot, but couldn't be quite sure. Even S of A told himself that things were gonna be different. And late in early, two other friends and relations said, "Well early, well late," to each other in such a hopeless sort of way that it really didn't seem any good waiting for the answer. So it was signed. Pooh, Piglet, WOL, EOR, Rabbit, Kanga, Blot, and Smudge. They were signing the Go Away poem that Eeyore had written for Robin. And they all went off to Christopher Robin's house with it. "Hello, everybody," said Christopher Robin. "Hello, Pooh." They all said hello and felt awkward and unhappy because it was a sort of goodbye they were saying, and they didn't want to think about it. So they stood around and waited for somebody else to speak, and they nudged each other and said, "Go on," and gradually Eeyore was nudged to the front, and the others crowded behind him. "What is it, Eeyore?" said Christopher Robin. Eeyore swished his tail from side to side so to encourage himself, and began. "Christopher Robin," he said. Here we go. "We've come to say to give you, it was written by, but because we've heard, I mean we all know, well you see it's we, you, well that, to put it as shortly as possible, it is what it is." He turned around angrily on the others and said, "Everybody crowds around so in this forest. There's no space. I never saw a more spreading lot of animals in my life, and all in the wrong places. Can't you see that Christopher Robin wants to be alone? I'm going." And he humped off. Not quite knowing why, the others began edging away, and when Christopher Robin had finished reading poem and was looking up to say thank you, only Pooh was left. Christopher Robin folded up the paper, put it in his pocket. "Come on, Pooh," and he walked off quickly. "Where are we going?" said Pooh, hurrying after him. "Nowhere," said Christopher Robin. They walked on, thinking of this and that, and by, and they came to an enchanted place on the very top of the forest called Galleon's Lap. There's 66 or 64 trees in a circle, and they know it's enchanted because you can never count them. So they stopped to watch the world. Then suddenly again, Christopher Robin, who was still looking at the world with his chin in his hands, called out, "Pooh!" "Yes," said Pooh. When Pooh?" "Yes, Christopher Robin." "I'm not going to do nothing any more." "Never again?" "Well, not so much. They don't let you." Pooh waited for him to go on, but he was silent again. "Yes, Christopher Robin," said Pooh helpfully. "Pooh, when I'm not doing nothing, will you come up here sometimes?" "Just me?" "Yes, Pooh." "Will you be here too?" "Yes, Pooh, I will be, really. I promise I will be, Pooh." "That's good," said Pooh. "Pooh, promise you won't forget about me, ever. Not even when I'm 100. Pooh thought for a little while. "How old shall I be then?" 99. Pooh nodded. "I promise," he said. Still, with his eyes on the world, Christopher Robin put out a hand and felt for Pooh's paw. "Pooh," said Christopher Robin earnestly, if I'm not quite—" He stopped and tried again. "Pooh, whatever happens, you will understand, won't you?" "Understand what?" "Oh, nothing." He laughed and jumped to his feet. "Come on." "Where?" said Pooh. "Anywhere," said Christopher Robin. So they went off together. But wherever they go, and whatever happens to them, on the way, in that enchanted place, on the top of the forest, a little boy and his bear will always be playing. Here they go, hand in hand, skipping off to have another adventure. Enjoy your summer. Thank you.